How's it going, Mathaholics? Let's start looking at sets of real numbers. So let's start defining some of these things. What is a natural number? A natural number, it's always going to be the numbers that we learned in kindergarten. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. A whole number. Whole number is all of the natural numbers except we also have a 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. Now, what is an integer? Integer are natural numbers, whole numbers, and the negative version of them. So we would have -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and you get the point. Rational numbers. If you did not watch my previous video on rational and irrational numbers, that will give you a more in-depth explanation of what these are. But just as a quick run-through, a rational number is any number that can be represented by a ratio. So we could have 0 over 1, we could have 1 over 2, 3 over 4, just the number 2 itself, because we can write that as ratio, and then number 10, and so forth. Now let me move this a little bit so it's not in the way of the irrational numbers. That was not the best, but it's okay. There we go. Irrational numbers, what are these? These numbers are numbers that we cannot write as a ratio, such as pi, e, square root of 2. Like I said, if you want a more in-depth explanation, just watch the previous video, it'll go over all of that. And then real numbers are all of the above. So all the numbers that we listed above. Now you might be wondering, can I always just say that any number is a real number? Well, at this stage in math, you can probably get away with that, but I figured I'd explain this because when I was learning this in middle school, I was told that all numbers are real numbers, so I kind of just passed that as a fact. And then I took some later courses throughout the years, and I learned that there's such things as numbers that aren't real numbers. So I figured I'd kind of give you that as a disclaimer, so if one day you're like, hey, this isn't a real number, you don't think that I lied to you. Alright, so with all that being said, we are asked to classify the following numbers, and we have a 9, a 1/2, and a -12. So let's go ahead and do what the problem is asking us to do. Let's start with the 9 since it's the first one on the list. Is it a natural number? Well, like I said, it's the numbers that we learned in kindergarten, and I'm pretty sure we all learned the number 9, so that's a natural number. What else is it? Is it a whole number? What did I say for the definition of whole numbers? It's all the natural numbers, and we also include the number 0. So yes, the number 9 is a whole number. Is it going to be an integer? Integers are just natural and whole numbers, including the negative version of them. So of course it's going to be an integer as well. And then is it a rational number? Yes, this is a rational number because I can write 9 as 9 over 1, 18 over 2, and there's many different ways I could write the number 9. Is it an irrational number? No, it is not going to be an irrational number because if it's a rational number, it can't be an irrational. Like if I turn right, I can't possibly have turned left. It's either one or the other type of thing. And then is it a real number? Yes, it's a real number. As I said, pretty much, and at this point in math, all numbers are going to be real numbers, so just kind of go with the flow of it. Now, our next number that we have to look at is this 1/2 that we have up here. And then I'm going to delete pretty much all that I've written at this point. So if you want to copy it down, I just recommend you pause the video and write it down onto your notes. But if you don't need to, then don't worry. I just want to make some more room so it looks a little neater. 1/2. Let's see. Is it a natural number? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I did not learn 1/2 in kindergarten, so it is not a natural number. Is it a whole number? No, it's literally a half, so it's not a whole number. Is it an integer? What is an integer? It is all of the natural numbers and the whole numbers plus the negative version of them. So if it's not even a natural number or a whole number, how can it be something that is part of a natural and a whole number? So it's not an integer. Is it a rational number? Well, we see that it already is a ratio, so it has to be a rational number. Is it an irrational number? As I said with the explanation for the number 9, if it's rational, it can't be irrational, so it is not an irrational number. And then is it a real number? Yes, it is, because as I've said multiple times, pretty much any number at this point is going to be considered a real number. Now, I encourage you to try out the negative 12 on your own, and if you get it right, then that's awesome. I'm happy for you. But just in case we want to see how it's done, I'm going to go ahead and do that one as well. Negative 12, what can we start classifying this as? Well, let's see. Is it a natural number? I did not learn anything about negative numbers in kindergarten, so I'm not going to say that this is a natural number at all. And then some people are probably like, oh, don't explain it as anything you learn in kindergarten, but it kind of fits. Like, we only learn numbers maybe 1 through 100, and those are going to be all of our natural numbers. So if you just want to think of it that way, I guarantee you'll always get it right. Now, is it a whole number? No, it's not, because the whole numbers, remember, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and etc. We don't go into the negative, so it is not going to be a whole number. Is it going to be an integer? Yes, it is, because it's all of the negative numbers. Negative 12, yes it is. Is it a rational number? I could write negative 12 as negative 12 over 1, or a couple other ways. Is it an irrational number? No, it is not, because it's already a rational number. And then yes, it's also going to be a real number. I hope this explanation made it a bit easier for you to understand, and if it did, then please hit that like button. Thanks.